So I made a book.
And I, Father Marcus Littleton, shall now commence reading aloud the first of the spiritual resurrection passages. Kanda.
Normally I do wrestling belts, things of that nature. And this whole idea stemmed from, it was like 2 months ago or so. I like movie props and things of that nature, some of the arcane things and whatnot. And some company came out with a Gozerian Codex from the Ghostbusters franchise, but it was an extended version and it was huge. And I was looking at it and was like, wow, they did a lot with this. They incorporated a lot of things that were outside of the franchise. And it was like a 300-page book or something like that. And I was looking at it. I'm like, well, that would be kind of cool to have. And then I saw the price. It was like $300. I'm like, well, not that cool. So whatever. So then I got looking around for, there's smaller versions of the Tobin Spirit Guide. That's what it is. Tobin Spirit Guide, not Gozerian Codex. It was, but I had a whole bunch of different ghosts and whatnot in it from the movies. So I got a cheaper one. It was like $15 or something like that. You can get them on Amazon. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then I got looking around for other props, book props, anyway, from different franchises. One I picked up was the Grail Diary from Last Crusade, Indiana Jones. And that was cool. Then I got looking around for the Necronomicon, because that's a really popular one. And there was some cheap ones out there that were kind of garbagey, plastic covers and whatnot. And I was like, not really my style. And there was some good ones out there where the covers were made of latex rubber. And I was looking at some of those, and they're like $180. And I'm like, well, if I sell a belt, I could get one. And I'm like, do I want to spend that? Not really. And the more I got looking at it, the more I was looking. I was like, you know what? The hell with it. Why don't I just make it? So that's what I opted to do. So I made it. And, well, so here it is. The cover is inspired, kind of a mix between Evil Dead 2 and Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV series. It's all leather bound, hand tooled, because that's my deal. So that's what I opted to do. Did like the stitching along the side, kind of like the TV series, the one down by the mouth. But yeah, it was all hand tooled. So that was a cover. The way you're supposed to normally do a book cover is that actually your cut should go about an inch or so above your pages, and then it folds down into the cover. And normally I would do that. Well, I say normally, this is the first one I've ever done, but I would do that. But the piece of leather I had that would be decent for this project wasn't quite big enough, and I was impatient because I wanted to do this and see it put together. So I said, well, you know what? I'll just figure that out once I get there. And that's what I did. And seeing as I do a bunch of championship belts, I just incorporated that method into the cover, which I'll show you after. But anyway, back to the outside. So, yeah, that's the cover. Then it goes along the spine, and then the back, which is a whole ear from all the series. But yeah, it's all leather bound. And the inside, which is garment leather, same as I do on my belts, except I just did it on a book this time. And yeah, and all the pages are directly from the Evil Dead movies. I did them pretty much in order. This is from the first movie, which I think only had like 12 pages in the movie. It's all deckled edge cotton paper, and some of them I put blood splatters, whatnot, just for effect. But yeah, so that's the first movie. Then it goes into the second movie. These are all pages from the second movie, which had a lot more pages. I also included the lost pages from the second movie, so I put those in them. But it goes further yet, because I included the third movie, which actually doesn't have a lot of pages that they show in that one. And then it goes into the remake, the 2013 remake. And there's a whole bunch of those. Then it goes into the Rise of Evil Dead. A bunch of these pages. But I decided to keep the whole theme going, and there's actually pages from the PlayStation 1 game, Evil Dead Hail to the King, so I got pages for that. And by the way, all these pages, or a majority of these pages, come from Elder Props. They're PDF files you can download and print off, so big shout out to them, because I didn't really feel like going through and inking all these. It would take forever. But yeah, so these are from that game. And then it goes into, these pages are, this book made a few cameos through pop culture. This one is from the show Creep Show, the series. I think it's on Shudder. So it made an appearance there. So these are pages from that. And then I have a whole bunch of pages from H.G. Lovecraft, or inspired by H.G. Lovecraft. So there's a whole bunch here. Lots and lots and lots. So I'm not going to go through all of these. And then after that, these pages are from the Black Codex from 13 Ghosts. Just because it kind of went with the whole theme of the book, so I added these. I took inspiration from, I saw on YouTube while I was doing some research on this, there was one book that was hand tooled, the cover, and it had a whole bunch of these pages in, but they were all spread apart, and they were like randomly placed. And I mean, maybe that, you know, whoever had that book, that's what they wanted, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted them basically chapterized. So that's what I did here. And I think that one had like 300 pages, just over 300. This book here specifically has, I think it's like 360 even pages. Yeah, so there's that. And then it goes into that same Elder Props. They did a bunch of their own custom, like 20 some of their own custom pages. Like, well, I'll just throw their stuff in here too, just to kind of keep the theme going and more of support for them. And then the last one, oh no, second to last one. This is from, what's the book called? It's like the Book of the Shadow Kingdom, something along those lines, from the movie The Ninth Gate. Took illustrations from that. So there's a bunch of these in here. Oh, there's 10 of them. And then the last one are pages that I designed using the font from the Evil Dead. And I kept I wanted different books. I mean, outside of just prop replicas that are true to the movie, a lot of different people's or fan books have their own little things in them. So I'm like, well, I'm going to keep the theme of this whole thing going, like this paranormal supernatural thing. So I ended up putting the Blair Witch Project, that stuff in here. And anyone who's a fan of the franchise knows the connection between Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and The Evil Dead. The Necronomicon was seen in Jason Goes to Hell, and Wes Craven and Sam Raimi have always had this back and forth thing, especially in the early movies, little like nods or tip of the hat to each one. Like in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, you can see the Evil Dead playing on a TV while Nancy's like falling asleep, and in the second Evil Dead, you see Freddy Krueger's glove in the woodshed or the work shed, and it goes back and forth. So, and then there's a comic book series, Freddy versus Jason, which was supposed to be a movie and it never was, and that's sad. But so I threw both of them in here, and just going along with the paranormal supernatural, I put Valak in here. And from The Exorcist, just the original page, burnt up. The Old Hag, another Sam Raimi movie, Drag Me to Hell. So I threw that in here. And Witchcraft. And Pinhead. That was supposed to be, I believe, at the end of, I believe it was at the end of Freddy vs. Jason. The rumor has it that both Freddy and Jason were supposed to go to hell, and then I guess what you would be ending credits or end credit scene now, they were supposed to be greeted by Pinhead, and something along the lines of he was supposed to say, "Gentlemen, what can I help you with?" And that would have been kind of the lead into the next movie. So I threw that in here just for that. And then the Necronomicon also had a cameo. Ashen, the book, had a cameo in Marvel Zombies. So there's an illustration that I jacked offline and just put some of the script from the first few books onto that and chuck that in here as a kind of an Easter egg too. And that's that. Yeah, and that's the end. But yeah, so there's that. It was my first book. It was interesting. There's some things I would think I'd do a little different next time. One is actually do the cover the correct way. Once I have the right amount of leather and the correct thickness of leather. But for what it is, just kind of what I did with it, worked out fine. Yeah, there it is. It's thick too. About 2.5 inches thick. There you go.